definitely better. So what this textbook is not a textbook, it's a reader. It's a compilation of 30 articles or, I don't know, articles, what else? Journal pieces, split up into 4 sections. Sections being looking back, so the history of curriculum development, people like Montessori and Dewey, some of the foundational understandings of what education is. Curriculum at education center stage. So this is looking at the time in the, I think, early 60s, they said, when curriculum was really focused on as a vehicle for change and as an important, as the focus for, you know, what education reform and development should be. Part 3, reconceptualizing curriculum theory. So these are new ideas in what curriculum should be. I'm assuming moving from knowledge to skills and to critical thinking and those kind of things are the reconceptualizing. And then part 4, after a century of curriculum thought, change and continuity. So these are like the new ideas, which may or may not actually be new. One thing that kept coming up for me, just reading the introduction, is how expansive the topic of curriculum is and how it revolves on itself. Sometimes I talk to more experienced teachers and they'll tell you that it doesn't really matter because everything will come back around. So right now we're all about group work. In 5-10 years, we'll all be about individual work again. Right now we're all about inquiry. In 5 to 10 years, we'll be all about teaching knowledge again. Or like right now we're all about I don't know. There's a belief that every topic in education just kind of comes around, and that can be a negative thing because teachers will say, like, I don't have to think about this because everything just comes around anyway. And I don't really feel that way. I think it's evidence that it's a deep problem and that it's worth thinking about. And what I'm excited about for this course and for my master's in general is to really get a good footing into the history and philosophical and theoretical underpinnings of where we've been and where we're at, so that when I'm having these conversations, it's not just me and a colleague having the conversation. I can bring in the learnings that we've made over the last century. So I'm excited. They chose what is in the reader based on a couple criteria, one of which being influential writers. And so they tried to get, you know, the 30 most influential people in there. Some of the names I recognize, some of them I don't. Let's see. Montessori, Dewey, might be it. Yeah, 2 out of 32 I recognize. That's something that I'm going to try to be improving, is my name recognition. I never thought that it was important to like remember who wrote the thing I'm reading, because the ideas are important. But I do think that in order to communicate with my colleagues efficiently, remembering whose idea it was adds a lot of credence. The second criteria for what pieces made the book was, shit, what was it? Oh, it has to be pivotal work. So with the recognition that everything is constantly changing, there are some works that happened at certain times that actually, you know, affected change, and that's an important piece. And the third criteria is kind of that it revolves around actual teaching, revolves around actual pedagogy that is more focused on teaching than it is on theory. That's accessible to both undergrad and graduate studies. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good criteria, and I'm loving this far how well defined what we're trying to do is. And so that's the curriculum studies introduction, really just an overview of the textbook. But I've already had some connections, and it excites me to move forward. 2 quotes that I liked. The first one is, "We are not required to learn everything to learn something." No, that's not it. "We are not required to know everything to learn something." I like that quote a lot. I might use that in my class. And the second one is, "Much changes while staying the same." And I think that's true when we're talking about education. So I'm excited to get started. So I've read that, and next is Dewey.